The residents of Britain had been using bronze for thousands of years to manufacture tools, jewelry, and a medium of exchange. Nevertheless, it started to alter around 800 BCE as the price of bronze dropped, leading to social unrest and an economic crisis, what we would now refer to as a recession. Why do recessions occur? There has been a lot of discussion on this issue among economists for a very long time, and for good reason. A recession can range from a brief slump with local effects that lasts months to a protracted downturn with global effects that lasts years, or it can be anything in between. Further complicating matters, it is challenging to identify particular causes because there are so many factors that affect an economy's health. Hence it's helpful to start with the big picture. Recessions happen when the equilibrium between supply and demand is negatively disrupted. An economy is in decline when there is an imbalance between the quantity of goods consumers desire to purchase, the quantity of goods and services producers can supply, and the cost of those goods and services. Interest rates and inflation rates both indicate how supply and demand are balanced in an economy. When goods and services become more expensive, inflation occurs. So to put it another way, money loses value. Inflation isn't always a terrible thing, though. In fact, it is believed that low inflation rates stimulate the economy. Yet, excessive inflation without correspondingly high demand can harm an economy and ultimately trigger a recession. Meanwhile, interest rates represent the price that people and businesses pay when they take on debt. The rate that borrowers pay to their creditors up until the loan is repaid is normally a yearly percentage of the loan. Low interest rates enable businesses to take out larger loans, which they can then utilize to fund additional projects. Meanwhile, high interest rates raise production and consumer expenses, reducing economic activity. Changes in inflation and interest rates can provide us with information about the state of the economy, but what ultimately drives these changes? Shocks like natural disasters, war, and geopolitical issues are the most obvious causes. For instance, an earthquake can obliterate the infrastructure required to generate essential goods like oil. As a result, the supply side of the economy is forced to raise the price of goods that consume oil, which discourages demand and can bring on a recession. Nonetheless, some recessions do happen during prosperous economic times, possibly even as a result of prosperous times. Some economists think that a market's expansion can occasionally result in company activity that is too high to sustain. For instance, businesses and individuals might take on additional debt under the theory that the expansion of the economy will enable them to manage the increased load. Yet, if economic expansion is slower than anticipated, they may accumulate more debt than they can handle. They'll have to divert funds from other uses, which would decrease corporate activity, to pay it off. A recession may also be influenced by psychology. If recession anxiety discourages individuals from investing and spending, it might become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Producers could reduce operating expenses in order to counteract the anticipated reduction in demand. Cost reductions eventually cause wages to decline, which in turn causes demand to decline even further. Even measures intended to assist avert recessions may have an impact. Governments and central banks may print money, increase spending, and cut interest rates when circumstances are hard. In consequence, smaller lenders may reduce their interest rates, thereby cheapening lending to encourage consumption. But in order to stop high inflation, these policies must eventually be changed because they are unsustainable. If people are excessively dependent on cheap financing and government stimulus, that could trigger a recession. The use of iron contributed to a revolution in agriculture and food production, which ultimately brought an end to the bronze slump in Britain. Because of the complexity of modern economies, navigating recessions nowadays is much more challenging. But, each recession generates fresh information that may be used to better predict and prepare for recessions in the future. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video informative and helpful in understanding the causes of economic recessions. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll do my best to respond. And if you want to learn more about economics and finance, be sure to subscribe to my channel for future videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.